Hey guys, welcome to the latest project for the Duramax. I ended up buying a 1500 bumper. The only thing that's different between this bumper and my bumper is that my bumper has that little black plastic spacer under it, and as you can see here, it just screws into it. So I'm just going to swap that over when I get this finished. So what my intention with this project is to paint this grayish plastic body color with dark gray spiral metallic. It's kind of like a grayish green slate color, and I'm going to tape off the black plastic for the grill itself and swap over my GMC logo as well. And I have that billet grill that I painted black from the other grill. I'm going to swap that over onto this too. So my goal is to get rid of the chrome on the front end of the truck, at least for the grill part. So this whole assembly was only $58 shipped, and the chrome ones I think are like 100, and they're 100 bucks, something like that. But anyway, I decided just to get a new one because of the price. It was less than $60, and I'm able to actually like sand on this, paint it with no problem. Plus this one isn't cracked. My other one has a few cracks in it because it's 10, almost 12 years old now. So, but I'm going to go through the steps of me body working this. I don't think I'm going to show you video of like me actually sanding and stuff. I'll just tell you what I do and grab the camera. But let's get this project started. Okay guys, as you can see, I have masked off the front of the grill where the GMC logo is and that flat black plastic is, and I've also masked off the top because you might see that where the hood closes, so I didn't want to get any overspray on that. You could mask off the bottom, but honestly in this application I really don't care because you're really never going to see it because you've got that black plastic trim that goes under here, and this also sits on top of the bumper. So that's about it. Now the next step is I'm going to wet sand the plastic with 400 grit because that's what the SEM plastic adhesion promoter calls for. Plus it'll get rid of some of these this little bit of texture. I really don't want that showing up in the paint, so I'll sand this out and move on to the next step. Okay guys, I have wet sanded the gray plastic with 320 grit, and then I went to 400 grit because that's what the plastic adhesion promoter calls for. This is from SEM number 39863, and I've used this product in the past on other plastic projects and I haven't had an issue with it yet, so might as well keep using on something that works. So now I'm going to, I finished the wet sanding, then I cleaned it off with wax and grease remover. I did that twice just to make sure the surface is clean. And I patched up any spots where on the tape that I went through when I was sanding. And now I'm gonna put the plastic adhesion promoter down. This lays down pretty clear, and I think you do one light and one wet. So you spray one coat, you let it sit for 5 minutes, and then that's the light coat, and then you do one wet coat, then you let it sit for 30 minutes. So that's what I'm gonna do. Then I'll go on to the primer. Thank you. Okay guys, I am about to start primering the grill surround. I highly recommend you wear a dust mask. That adhesion promoter that I sprayed really stinks. Like, that stuff smells terrible, and if you are inhaling that, that's pretty bad. So highly recommend you wear a dust mask. So the next step will be to spray the first layer of primer. Probably gonna let it dry 10-15 minutes between coats, and it says to put down 3 light layers of coats and then let it dry for an hour, and then you could wet sand it with 800 and then use wax and grease remover, and then you can put down the base coat and then to your clear coat. But what I'm going to do is the primer tonight, and then tomorrow I'll do the base and clear, and plus the sanding. Okay guys, I have painted the grill surround with 3 layers of primer. I actually ran out of primer, So what I'm going to do next is wet sand it with 800. At least that's what the Duplicolor primer tells you to do. So I'm going to wet sand it with the 800 grit, and then I'm going to go get another bottle of primer tomorrow and probably paint the whole thing again after I wet sand it. So okay guys, I have put down 4 layers of primer. I did 3 light coats and 1 last heavier coat. This is all the Duplicolor Perfect Match paint system. They have their primer, they have their base coat, and then their clear coat. The base coat, I actually ended up ordering at O'Reilly's because they're the only local place that carries it, and they're able to get it within 24 hours. AutoZone and Advanced don't carry it. So, and then the clear coat you can get anywhere. So with this, I did the primer. I've done 3 coats, 3 light coats, and a 4th heavier coat. Then I'm going to wet sand this with 800 grit, and well, first you're going to let it dry an hour after the last coat. Then I'm going to wet sand it with 800 grit, and after I wet sand it with 800, I should be good to go with the clear coat. I'm going to go with 3 to 4 coats of the base coat, 3 light, and probably 1 last heavy coat. Let it dry for, I want to say it's 10 minutes between coats and then 30 minutes before I can do clear coat. Clear coat will be the same. It'll be 3 lighter coats to get coverage, 10 minutes between coats, and then on the 4th and final coat, do a heavy coat. And then you're done with painting the grill. After that, I'm going to wait 48 hours, and then you can start buffing on it. I'll probably wet sand it with probably starting at either 1500 or 20 or 2000 grit sandpaper, go up to 2500 or 3000, and then after that I will put it on the car. Here are the 3 steps, the 3 type of paints that I'm using. It's from Duplicolor. I use this on the back bumper project from that 1500, that 2014 and newer 1500 work truck bumper that I installed, and I've had no problem with it. I also used it on the power mirrors that I put in from an Escalade, and I've had pretty good luck with this stuff. My only complaint would be after 6 months or so on my mirrors, the clear coat just like, I wouldn't say they oxidized, but they definitely became like a satin finish and not a clear coat. So all I did was take my Porter cable and I put on my scratch remover. No, I'm sorry. So I grabbed my Porter cable and used my severe swirl and haze remover, and that brought it right back to 100% like crystal clear clear coat finish. That might be because when I did the mirrors, I did like 6 or 7 lighter coats. I didn't do like a heavy final coat, and I think that's may have been why that hazed up. The back bumper, I did 6 months ago or so, and I have not had a problem with it. It hasn't faded or anything. Like the paint's fine, the clear coat is fine on that. So I think you really do have to do a final, heavy coat of the clear coat. Okay, guys, I primered it once this morning, and then I ended up doing 4 coats of base coat, first light coat, then I did a little bit heavier second coat, 3rd light coat, 4th coat. 4th coat really was just kind of where I was picking up, touching up spots that I had kind of missed. Then I did 1 light coat of clear. I've done 1 heavier coat of clear. I'm going to do probably another coat of light and then another heavy coat. I'm almost out of clear coat, so I'm going to finish up the last of this can and then go pick up more, and then I'll be done with this. I will then wait 2 days, maybe 3 days, and then I'm going to wet sand it with probably starting at 1500 or 2000 grit, go up to 2500. So like 1500, 2000, 2500. Then I'll do Meguiar's Ultra Rubbing Compound, Scratch X Remover, and then I'll go into my Adams products with the Severe Swirl Remover, then your swirl remover, your polish. Then the final wax I'm gonna do, I've got some carnauba wax that you want to use. Actually, you don't want to use, it's one of the two waxes, I'll figure it out. Okay guys, I am in the middle of body working the front grille. As you can see, it's wet and kind of cloudy. I have gone through 1,000 grit, 1,500 grit. I'm on 2,000 grit right now. And then my last wet sanding will be 2,500 grit. Now, all I'm using is a small little paint stick that I broke and wrapped a little piece of 2,000 grit in this case, grit sandpaper. Just put it in my bucket, and I am applying very little pressure when I'm doing this. I'm literally just going, I'm barely touching this sandpaper, so this paint stick, because you don't need to put you barely need to put any pressure at all on it. In this case, since this is a lacquer-based, spray paint clear instead of a 2K based or a urethane-based clear, this isn't the strongest stuff out there. So you could really sand through the clear coat really quickly. That's why I'm applying very little to almost no pressure. Sorry, I need to get more water. Applying very little pressure, literally just getting over the surface of this. Now, I'm not expecting a mirror shine with this grill, because when I wet sanded it, when I wet sanded the plastic to begin with, I didn't go down all the way down to like 100 grit. I really only went to, I want to say I went to like 200, 220, 320, somewhere in that range. You can still see the plastic like orange peel from the factory, because that's the way it's it's cast when they injection mold it. So that's really a quick tutorial on the wet sanding of this. I'm not going to film the 2,500 grit, but it's the same thing. Real light pressure, go over the whole piece, and then I'm going to start the compound. I'm going to start using the power tools with the Porter cable. I'm going to go with the compound, the scratch X, severe swirl, and then finally the polish. There's a wax stage, but I'll have to see what my supplies are. Okay guys, I have buffed it with Ultimate Compound. Then I skipped the scratch X. I have some, but I have no idea where it is, so I buffed it with the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, and then I moved straight into my Adams products with their severe swirl remover and polish. As you can see, I still have some compound on there. I haven't wiped it off with the rag yet, but this doesn't take really long. But I think just wet sanding it, buffing it, it should make it turn out that much better. Next, I'm going to wipe off all of the polishing compound from Adams, and then I'm going to move over to a quick wax from Meguiar's, which is over here. This is just a quick carnauba wax. From what I've read, you shouldn't use a synthetic-based wax after you polish it, because it needs the 30 days to dry and whatnot. So I have a bottle of this, and just use this to, I only use this for bodywork projects. Otherwise, I just stick with the Adams stuff. Because normally I will use the Adams Super Machine Sealant. I think they just call this the Machine Sealant now. I stick with this as my finishing step for when I'm fully detailing a car. So, okay guys, here's the finished product. I have finished painting it, wet sanding it, buffing it, and all of the above steps. Here's a close-up of what the paint looks like. Like I said, you can still see the plastic cast marks in the front of the plastic, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I'm actually going to wrap this video up here. I'm going to do a separate video for the install just because this video is going to be pretty long as it is. My plan will be to install that billet grill that I painted with SEM trim black, flat black trim paint that I have. It's on the 2500 grill on the truck. I also plasti dipped the GMC logo. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that just yet because, you know, it's plasti dipped, so I can just peel it all off, or I may just paint the whole thing black. I'm not sure at this point, but I'm going to transfer the logo, the grill. Then there's that little black filler piece that goes between this grill and the bumper, and I will do that in my next video. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, please subscribe. Also, I just launched a Facebook page for my social media experience, if that's what you want to call it. So now I've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube all synced together. And they're all linked together with the same links, and you know, hopefully you guys check that out. Thanks for watching.